Yeah, because then that happens. Golly, this is annoying.
We're building our dream art studio in our basement, and it's time to assemble our workbenches. So we built a bottom frame so that our bottom board is slightly offset. So this thing will be for our island. This is just going to kind of help things stay even and just kind of guide things in place. Then it's going to be the same thing on this wall. Just like that, we can start assembling our benches. Everything's lining up pretty decently well so far. Honestly, all things considered, pretty happy. We're just gonna straight up screw stuff in. And then this board, although I'm a little concerned, I do think this warped a little bit. So hopefully the screws straighten it out. Then we've got more guides for the other two shelves. Whoa, that flattened it out. Oh my gosh. I was hoping to do that. Awesome, so now these two wall panels are flush. That's amazing. And we'll do the same thing on this one. Level this out. All right, so then we can get our island situated. Which will come out like this. I definitely should have built the little guide rails a smidge longer, but it's too late now. Lock it in. Got our new drill. I'm telling you, pays to have a good drill. The one before was not meant for this kind of stuff. There's the bottom of our island. So we're gonna work our way up and start putting these into place. But realizing it now, all of these are about an inch too thick. So we're unfortunately gonna have to do more cutting. But luckily, we can mark out exactly where our cuts need to be. And some of our cuts were not the straightest, so we can even those out. I am gonna place my brackets where they need to go first, so they're ready to go, and we can just throw our board on there. We're just gonna hope that these line up. I didn't film trimming this board because I figured you're tired of seeing me cut plywood, and this does not line up. Let's see if we can get just one screwed in and lined up. The problem is holding this board in place and then screwing the bracket in. I don't know how you're supposed to do that by yourself, honestly. Yeah, because then that happens. Golly, this is annoying. The screw won't stay in the bit. I have an idea. Construction guys are probably looking at me in the comments like, yeah, dude, that's how you do it. It's still not going to work. Are you serious? Who knew this would be the nightmare today? I don't see you helping in the comments. That's all I know. If I could get the screw to stay stuck in the board, that, you can't see what I'm doing, but it just fell out. We just need it to be upright and then it'll be so easy. It's just getting there, that's the issue. Okay, the hope is that I can get both of these brackets in. Am I confident in that plan? No. It kind of stands up on its own. I think it'll be enough. Okay, it's not straight, but it's screwed in. Okay, I think it's straightening up pretty well. Especially once we get these brackets in. All right, we're grooving now. We can just kind of slide this where it needs to go. It's actually pretty close to where it needs to be. Gosh dang, these screws do not want to go in straight at all. It's making me mad. It looks like a 90-degree angle from eye's view. Cool, once everything else is kind of locked in, that'll get a bit more secure. That feels good enough for now. Our second board is ready. I'm gonna load it up, the brackets onto the board, and then lean it up instead of putting it on the ground. Hopefully that will be easier. So now we should be able to flip it up, line it up where it needs to go, and then at least get one screw in so it can support themselves if we need to adjust these brackets. Okay, that one's smoother. Let's do the other side. Lock the boards down to our base. Our next piece goes right here, and it's actually perfectly lined up that we do not need to cut it. So we also have these brackets for the back, so they can have 3 points of contact to screw in. We're gonna do the same method as the other one. We're gonna get these screwed in and then flip it. That's gonna be our best bet once again. Oh my gosh. How am I supposed to get my drill bit straight back here? Oh, I'm gonna... All right, this board's in. It's a little loose, so we're gonna put some more corner brackets up here. It was a little difficult because there's a gap between this board and the wall board, and it made it hard to get all the screws in. So that's annoying, but I think this is the only spot we're gonna run into that. So we'll get some corner braces up here and should be good. Okay. That feels good. Well, I mean, we'll get another board up here that'll help secure it. That feels pretty good. Then we'll get this board screwed in right here. Realize I should probably grab my speed square and make sure these are, you know, at 90 degrees. Probably important. This board will slot here. And now, lastly, for this panel, this board. Then we'll square this one up. Our last board is going to go here. It's about half depth. That way this corner area isn't blocked off as much. Perfect. All our boards are set. We're just going to go around, get every single individual screw in since we didn't kind of, you know, touch all that kind of stuff up. And then we're on to the next level. I was screwing in the other boards. I realized supposed to flip this. So instead of this way, it's supposed to go out this way. Because this height and the heights of the board don't match, which makes more sense because I thought this extruded out further. So gotta redo this one. Okay, so now the board goes like this. A lot more sense. Now you can see how it's going to be a bit more open in this corner. So now we'll get this again screwed in. The next step in building our workspace cabinets is to put the first layer of flat boards on. And this is where we're going to see if things line up correctly. I'm a little bit nervous actually, but let's get started. This is a 2x8 board. We're gonna start back here and work our way outward. See if we can get this set in easy. Good, honestly. Think we're gonna lock it in. I was a little concerned that the divider boards weren't going to be evenly tall, but they were. I don't know how much of this you're going to see besides my butt screwing stuff in, because we got to dig way back in here. Dang it. All right, one bracket in. I'm not going to show you the rest under here. You're not going to see anything. Stuck. You may be asking why I'm building them like this, and that is a very valid question, one I'm starting to wonder. No, but in all seriousness, there are probably better ways to do this. This is just the way that I know how. I didn't have the skill or tools to do like pocket holes and things like that. So not that I'm doing any better this method. Is it maybe a little less structurally sound? Hopefully not. But it feels pretty solid so far. This leaves us with a super nice little cubby thing here on the end for some cool open storage kind of thing, which I am excited about. Oh yeah. Next is the second layer. Do not start this well. Of our island. There's only this middle board to support this one. We're gonna have to get a little creative on this. Now we should be able to line this up and screw it in. And honestly, these two boards line up pretty well, which I was a little nervous about. Actually, we should see if this is level. Dang, I'm surprised. Our last board, I tried to set the uncut edges on the ends because I knew my cuts weren't going to be the straightest. We had this issue with our bottom board, as that this back wall must just not be straight, because you can either have it flush like this, which still isn't perfectly flush, and there's a gap on the other side of the wall, or we have a flush on the other side of the wall and there's a gap here. So it's a little annoying. We're gonna have to pick our battles here. I think we're gonna settle with the gap happening on this side, which is annoying, but it is what it is. Probably see it a little better over here. So we've got a gap down here. If we push this in, there's a gap over here, a gap in this board. There's not really an ideal situation here. I think I know what happened. I think when we were putting in our frames, things got a little unstraight when we were nailing them into the concrete. So I think we're gonna try and situate it. Since it's like an even bow, part of me is tempted to jigsaw the back. I feel like that's a really bad idea, and I don't want to ruin this board. But these gaps just suck. I think we're just going to run with these gaps and maybe wood fill them with some shims or something. You know, it's not going to be perfect, and this is when our lack of skills is biting us in the butt. But where I lack in skills, I make up for in determination, so we're just going to get this locked in and done. Okay, I think we're good. There is probably an inch gap. I think we're gonna try and fix it with a shim, kind of shim it back in there, but we'll do that at a later time. But for now, we can do the next level of vertical boards. These are going to be a little bit of a shallower depth, which I think will be really fun. Give us just a bit more of a little less restricted cubbies. With this guide here though, which I will say lines up like perfectly, we are gonna need to notch out a little bit of these boards so they go flush to the wall. So we're just gonna measure it out and jigsaw it out on all of these boards. All right, we just got a little scrap. I can't remember, I think it's a 1x2. Then we can just jigsaw it out. Let's just knock out the rest of these. So I will say these fit like beautifully perfectly. These boards are going to be offset too. We're going to throw our computer and other tech stuff right in the middle because this is going to be your computer top. So we're going to have our, you know, PC, all the other stuff right below, you know? Our last board. Time to place our island boards in. I have them lined up again. Oh, I actually might need to trim a smidgen. That's a technical term, a smidgen off of this board. I think I am actually. This is the excess of the board we just cut for our island. Cut like perfectly. This kinda just slots right in this gap. It almost fills our gap. There's a better view. Like, isn't that almost perfect? I mean, ignore that, but like, that's sweet. Anyways, now this should line up great. Perfect. Then we can put in our last two brackets. And then off camera, since you don't want to see us drilling in like hundreds of screws, I'm just going in back through all of our brackets and getting the remaining screws. Let's line it up with the lower board. Then this will be our last board before we put our last horizontal boards together. Now we can put our first top piece in. Whew. I might have made this too tall. That is tall. I gotta decide if I'm okay with that. It's good for standing. It's not great for sitting. I think when we measured our height, we measured for standing. Because there's elements of like, so like our island, still a little high. But like, again, let's mock this up. So like pretend our island is this height. It's great for, let's tie some shirts, blah, 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 blah. Not bad, like my hands rest at a good spot. I think I like that it's a good standing height, maybe half an inch too tall standing height. If I'm keeping everything standing height, I don't think it's worth cutting everything, redoing everything. Sitting height, it's not great at all. But I think if I get kind of like a height adjustable stool, I think that's gonna be the easiest option without having to unassemble and recut everything, which I'd prefer not to do. I think we'll keep it like this and we'll run with it. Another reason we're using brackets is we didn't want any screw holes visible, and this is the like cleanest, nicest way to do that. Like especially on our bench top, we didn't want to have to drill down any screws and have visible screws on our work surface. We will load our island top next. Ah, dang it. Okay, we got one screw in. I think we are stable. We're gonna get another one in because I don't trust that. This camera angle is probably terrible. I realize that. I'm just trying to act fast so nothing terrible happens. Cool, I'm pretty happy with how flush that is as well. We still need one more bracket though. Well, a lot more brackets, but you get the idea. All right, that's secure and flush. We can get the rest of our brackets in. Our final flat piece can go right here. So you can probably see the gap of this board. Once again, it does not line up like our boards beneath it because I think this wall is bowing. So we got to decide what to do. I really want this to be flush, so I'm actually nervously tempted to cut at an angle so it fits. I think that's what I'm going to do, unfortunately. It's that or doing it like this and then a gap fill edge trim piece that can fit in here. I'm not in love with that idea, so I don't know. I might think on this for a little bit.